What is a label of the 21st century? A label in the streaming society? The world shrinking. What does that label look like? What is the functionality of that label? What could I rely on you? And I think that's a very important place to start. In the last 20 years, you know which way the business has gone for the labels, straight down. Mm-hmm. You know which way the business has gone up for Google, straight up. So there's misunderstandings. Now, you're going straight up, I'm going straight down. You know we're not very sophisticated, us at the music industry, right? Mm-hmm. But we could look at a chart. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We understand when a record's got a bullet, right? And moving up. Mm-hmm. The arrow is pointing that way. Same thing in business. They knew the arrow was pointing down and the arrow pointing out. And the fact that there was no dialogue between the company and the labels. We were only negotiating with the label groups, the corporate people. Go away for 3 years, come back and try to get a renewal. So right now we've built an infrastructure to service the labels, to understand what they need, what's important to them, how we could be helpful. 35 years ago, some crazy man could go and say, you know, let me rent a warehouse, buy a bunch of records, and put Tower Records on the top. Mm-hmm. Can't do that anymore. You have to have a global footprint. You have to have a bunch of engineers, and you have to have a grip of money. Not too many people putting their hands up to do that, mm-hmm. or qualified to do that. So Google and YouTube was a natural. The world's most consumption of music happens on YouTube. And so they should be able to participate in a healthy way. And if I could help bring the industry and Google and YouTube together, it would be the greatest gift that I could give to an industry that has let me live the way I live. My kids went to college mm-hmm. on Sucker MC. Think about that. I live an incredible life. And, you know, most people live incredible lives. They're finance, we work for a bank or a lawyer, da-da-da-da. I'm living an incredible life because it's my thing. I mean, come on. You know, I go to a country club, I'm playing golf, and I'm playing with a bunch of finance people. You know, I work for J.P. Morgan. I work for Merrill Lynch. I work for, Citibank. What do? Yeah, how'd you get here? I said, Sucker MC. And they're like, wow, brass monkey. Mm-hmm. So.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the disconnect between YouTube and the labels think the payouts are too low.
So here's a situation. So when most media businesses that are mature, it's a combination between subscription and advertising. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. We are, at this point, we thought we were solving the most complex problem, and that is getting people to pay with their eyeballs, okay? And build a global platform. What we didn't do, which we should have done, and we're doing now, is layer a subscription service. Now, let me ask you a question. That kid, 15 years old, out of north of Milwaukee, parents are struggling, middle-class family. Is she important, that 15-year-old girl that is consuming enormous amounts of music? She can't get a job. She can't legally get a job. And her family can't afford $120 a year in a subscription. Is she important?
I think so.
Yeah. She's so important. And what we figured out is how to get her to pay with her eyeballs. Mm. Okay? So when you pay with your eyeballs, especially when you're inventing something, okay? When you're inventing something, paying with your eyeballs, the CPMs, the what the advertisers pay for that is still lower than it will be tomorrow. Mm. Every day you're watching your kids moving away from television to on-demand viewership on their phone, right? Mm-hmm. Every day. Mm-hmm. And guess what? Every day it's getting more and more expensive for McDonald's to hit up your kids. They're going to segue away from traditional media, and they're going to move to on-demand YouTube. And at that point, the artists will be getting, and the labels will be getting more money. But they'll be getting more money also by virtue of us building a subscription service. So we should be able to get those people who can't afford and are willing to suffer through advertising and pay with their eyeballs, and then we'll build a very healthy subscription business.
It's hard to get people to see that vision, though. When I know I'm pronouncing his name wrong, but Irving Azoff, he says the YouTube rates are a threat to artists' livelihood.
So he's still throwing pigeons out the window, okay, to communicate. So listen.
It's an old school way of thinking.
It's an old school way of thinking, and I really appreciate him. He's done a lot of nice things for a bunch of important artists. But, you know, time will prove itself that advertising and subscription together are the way for the industry to get healthy and to grow.
The Music Modernization Act closes loopholes in our digital royalty laws to ensure that songwriters, artists, producers, and providers receive fair payment for licensing of music. I've been reading about this for many years. Never thought I'd be involved in it, but I got involved in it. They were treated very unfairly. They're not going to be treated unfairly anymore. Streaming has made music more accessible than ever, yet our laws have not kept up with the pace of technology. As such, artists of all varieties and all career stages are losing out on revenue that they have rightly earned, and I guess that's especially from 4, 5, 6 years ago and beyond. This legislation will help ensure that artists from eras long ago, in addition to modern day, can retire in security, and that the current and upcoming artists can make a living by creating amazing works that captivate their fans and entertain our nation and the world, because this is really the world we're talking about. This legislation creates a single licensing system for reasons of simplicity for digital music providers so that music is more quickly licensed and paid for, ensures that American songwriters receive fair market value when their songs are streamed or purchased online, sets a standard licensing rate for digital performances. Why aren't some of you guys performing for us today free? We should have done that, Senators, I tell you. We should have gotten some, Shelley, we should have gotten a little free music out of this. They could give us a great concert, this group.
Dementia 10 to 20 years from now where I wouldn't even remember my son's name. So all this power that I got, and I'm taking my son to the Sox game and all that, I wouldn't be able to remember his name from a misdiagnosis. And what we need is we can empower the pharmaceuticals and make more money. That's one thing. I've never stepped into a situation where I didn't make people more money. So we can empower pharmaceuticals, we can empower our industries, we can empower our factories, we can bring not only Adidas on shore, we can bring Foxconn to set up a factory in, I think, Minnesota, 53,000.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, Wisconsin. They have 4,000 jobs, people making $53,000 a year. And one of the things we got to set is Ford to have the highest design, the dopest cars, the most amazing. I don't really say dope. I don't say negative words and try to flip them. We just say positive, lovely, divine, universal words. Another thing is opening up industries, and we've got to get some tax breaks because we're making we got a speed factory in Atlanta, but the shoes are costing us $300, so it's costing us too much to make things. So we need some prototypes here so we can get people back working, so China can't just beat us and Vietnam can't beat us. You got Levi's, the greatest jeans company in the world, making their jeans in Vietnam. So we're going to need to get a few breaks to be able to have some places in my hometown of Chicago and the 2.7 million to the 9 million surrounding suburbs where we can create some factories. Now, I think it would be cool for them to be Trump factories because he's a master of industry. He's a builder. And I think it would be cool to have Yeezy ideation centers, which would be a mix of education that empowers people and gives them modern information. Like sometimes people say, this kid has ADD, this kid has ADD. He don't have ADD, school is boring. It was boring, it's not as exciting as this. We have to make it more exciting, we have to mix curriculums. You play basketball while you're doing math. You learn about music while you meditate in the morning. We have to instate mental health and art programs back into the city. So those are, and also Larry Hoover is an example of a man that was turning his life around. And as soon as he tried to turn his life around, they hit him with 6 life sentences. So I believe you say don't tear down the statues. Larry Hoover is a living statue. He's a beacon for us that needs to see his family, that needs to go out and represent. When you have a block leader on every single block, they can own the block as their own.
Here are an artist and the artist's fan. They have concerns individually. Do they still remember me even though my artist become a famous star? I want to get the preference from my fans at once. Is it possible to do that? Stage makes a blockchain network for artist-fan ecosystem. All the fans' activities will be recorded on the blockchain. Scattered Your activities can be gathered in one place and keep diverse activities which are related to the artist's success. The better thing is, fans can also get the reward for their activities with ACT token issued per community. ACT token can be used as a currency to do any fan activities again. It can also be an indicator of the influence. Artists can collect fans' feedback through interactive communications in Stage Network. They can sell their contents with ACT token, and it can be converted into STG and cash out. Each fan and artist concern will be solved within the Stage Network. Fandom ecosystem will grow positively with Stage. Fan can get recognition from their activities and have more opportunities to get closer with the artists. Artists can have stabilized fandom and communicate with their fans more closely. The service provider will be available to do the right targeting. They can also identify the preferences and the needs of the fans at once. Stage Network is open to a variety of entertainment providers who will utilize the fandom ecosystem to co-create a sustainable ecosystem. Join us and get rewarded. Fan community for everyone. Stage.